Former Vice President Atiku Abubakar has criticized President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration over the review of presidential pardon list. In a statement issued and signed by Phrank Shaibu, the senior special assistant on public communication to former Vice President Atiku, described the move as an act of acting before thinking. While accusing the government of being reactive and lacking foresight, Atiku also questioned how the initial list of pardon beneficiaries was compiled and approved, demanding accountability from those involved in the process. He argued that the episode reflects a recurring pattern of poor decision-making by the Tinubu administration. Meanwhile, the Lagos chapter of the All Progressives Congress has faulted the former vice president over his remarks. Lawyer Liborous Oshoma joins us now to put this development in proper perspective. Thank you very much, Liborous, for joining us tonight. Now, Liborous, in light of the widespread public criticism following the initial pardon list that was released, of which you were one of the very first people to criticize it, what specific factors and public sentiments influenced President Tinubu's decision to reduce the list from 175 to 34 convicts?
Yeah, thank you very much. What informed the criticism was not far-fetched. When you look at the challenges bedeviling the country now, and then you look at the initial list, you marvel. You ask yourself, where lies the motivation for security forces, for our crime forces, our economic crime fighters? You know, when you see people put in their effort, put in their best, you know, to put people who are renegades, if you want to use that word, or who consistently, like the president had charged the service chief, who consistently had ensured that the country knows no peace. And then when you see people, you know, put them behind bars, and then the next thing you hear that they be granted pardon, certainly it will demotivate whoever is fighting against insecurity. It will demotivate those people fighting crime and drugs. It will demotivate those people fighting economic crimes. You know, so that's what informed the general, you know, outcry from the people. And also with the steps that the president has taken, it is a welcome development. It's also very clear that if people join their voices together to demand for something from the government, whether the government agrees or not, in a democratic dispensation, and once you push, certainly you would achieve the goal. It is a win for the media. It is a win for the Nigerian people. And then, like I said...
But Liborous...
Sorry, quickly.
Okay.
Sorry, quickly. What also has happened is the fact that it's obvious that the initial list and the office that was handling this presidential advisory body on pardon, it was obvious that they were not doing their job very well. So it is not enough to just review the list. Okay. It would also be good for people to be punished. Okay. You know, how those names got there. That's
exactly what I was going to ask you. You say the people cried out, and then the president has reviewed the list. So now that we have 34 instead of 175, under the circumstances we saw some of those pardons, there were very many questions. What now? What must the president do? How can we make sure that this doesn't reoccur again?
Yeah, what some of the things that must be done is what the president has done. He has moved the office from the office of the special duties, Ministry of Special Duties, to the Attorney General's office. And he has also charged the Attorney General to come up with criteria for the criteria that, you know, inmates must meet before they can be pardoned. And also, he has also charged the Attorney General to ensure that stakeholders are consulted before anybody is pardoned, especially stakeholders in security agencies, the anti-crime agencies, and then also the media and the everyday person. Because sometimes it is the media that actually keeps a tab on most of these activities, and then the everyday people, the reasonable man test, like we say in court. So that's, for me, it's what should be done next. And then secondly, it is not enough to just say we have reviewed the list. I think at this stage there's need for the heads to roll. How did some of these names get to the list? You know, does it mean that somebody didn't review that list before they sent it to Mr. President. And I must also quickly say this. Some persons have alleged that the president, by virtue of Section 175, will need to go back to the National Council of States before that list can be approved. That's not correct. Subsection 2 of Section 175 says the president shall consult. It did not say must get the consent. So what the president has done is in order. He has consulted the Council of State, and they have granted approval. He has consulted with them, and he has gone ahead to review a list. And so it's perfectly in order. It does not need to go back to get their consent. But I believe head should rule. Okay. How did this kind of embarrassment come in the first place?
Thank you for that clarification regarding subsection 175 sub 2. I was going to ask about that, but against the backdrop of everything that's been happening on the review, let's talk about paroles. Maybe you could tell us how a parole board actually works. Some persons have recommended creating a parole board like what we have in American systems to avoid a repeat of such scenario. Do you agree with the recommendation?
I do not. You know, when things like this happen, a lot of people will throw in all kinds of suggestions. Oh, let's have a parole board. And, a parole board work in an environment where integrity is it's everything. In this society, a lot of government decisions are subject to abuse. We have not even investigated how we got to this kind of list. We are talking about parole board. Let me give you an example with the issue of nolle prosequi. You know, the powers of the Attorney General, one of the powers of the Attorney General is to enter into a nolle prosequi when a matter is being prosecuted by him, and the court has no power to ask him, to question him. And we have seen that power abused consistently, where Attorney General, because some persons are related, maybe some persons facing criminal trials, some persons facing criminal charges are related to some big persons, and the Attorney General will just enter a nolle prosequi, and the judge is helpless. I've also had cases where judges who were compelled, who in some cases they are induced, and when they refuse, you find out that they move those inducements to Attorney General, and then the Attorney General will just compromise the case by entering a nolle prosequi, and the judge will not will be helpless. So when you have such a scenario, how do you now say let's have a parole board when we know, you know, the kind of mentality that we have? Do you know who I am mentality? Indeed, and then where, you know, the names on the parole board. Now we're talking about presidential, and then you're having fictitious name. Not to talk of a board where people can be compromised. You can go to people's house. I can come to your house to beg you and say, please, the bearer, help me, assist me. So what the president has done is, quickly, sorry. What the president has done is what we need to do. By the time we're able to streamline this process, and then we have a perfect or a near perfect system, we can begin to consider parole board. But until then, even the nolle prosequi, I think we should also amend it to give the court the power to question the Attorney General when he's not acting in good faith.
Liborous, apologies for the limited time, but thank you very much for giving us expert advice and also opinion on the matter. Thank you very much, Liborous.
My pleasure. Thank you.